Hey everyone, welcome back to Google Workspace Recap, your number one source for everything workspace by the Tech Geeks Network. My name is Jesse Nolan, my co-host is Steve Larson, and we're here to help you keep up. Episode 52. We made it. Another year in the books for Workspace Recap. Woohoo! Hope everyone had a relaxing and enjoyable long weekend. We did manage to record a year-ending Google Chrome recap episode for everyone, with a special guest as we did last time, Alex Bauer from Google. So make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, which will be the best place to watch that when I release it in the next few days. I am also taking a few days off from the day job this week in the end, since it is super slow, so I will try to at least get some of the episodes that I've been promising edited and released to everyone. Steve, how's it going?
Pretty good, yeah. It's been a good weekend, and can't wait to see that Chrome one release, because that's our second episode we've done this year with the Chrome team, aka Alex, and hoping to have a few more of those next year, and keep you guys updated on what's happening there with Chrome, in addition to Workspace, as those two are so very closely tied together, I would say.
Indeed.
Because there's also a lot of stuff happening in the admin console that we talked about on that episode that's kind of related to Chrome. So it'd be good to check that out once we get that published. And some nice, I think, screen shares of things that you may not see for a while, or possibly shouldn't have seen for a while, but you get to see them here on the podcast video vlog. So check that one out.
Sneak peeks.
Sneak peeks, which is really cool. So yeah, there's a lot of cool sneak peeks on that episode with Alex. And of course, caveat is that, all subject to change into production. So keep that in mind as you watch that, of course. But yeah, really cool having that. I think the three of us, as we kind of joke on that episode, is that we could have just an ongoing episode, just never ending, essentially hours long if we had no constraints to it. But we did. I think we got it done in about an hour. So
I feel like we actually constrained this one too much. I wanted it a little bit more structured.
There was a lot. There's a lot. I know. We did.
I felt like we could have embellished.
We
a little
scheduled
bit more.
it 2 days before.
That's
we just
fair.
hey, when are we gonna do it? Oh yeah, tomorrow. Oh, we can't do it tomorrow. Let's do it the day after. Yeah, let's just do it. It's the end of the year. We were planning it as two of us were in the car driving. That's when that's how we were planning the event. We're both two. Alex and I were driving and trying to figure out what we're gonna do for the episode and how we're gonna do it. It was a lot of fun.
Well, hopefully in the new year, as Steve was saying, these will be more scheduled and not more scripted, but we can also do live ones. Yeah,
exactly.
But more, with a format similar to what we do here. And it's easy to forget because we do the same format every week. Where we got it. We just we can show up. Here's the notes and just roll with it and whatnot. But sometimes it's easy to forget that other people who don't do that every single week might need a little bit more, nudging in the right direction and prep time. Exactly.
Right.
So
right.
I'm pretty sure that there have been a few episodes this year where Steve and I have literally jumped in with just a list of topics and not even looked at anything yet at all, and none of you noticed.
Yes. So you might have noticed, but hopefully you didn't. But it's definitely happened more than I would like, of course. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Not too often. So, we usually have our Monday afternoon strategy meeting, whatever. But it's as again. I mean, we've done this now. This is our second full year of doing this, and I feel like those meetings are almost not even necessary anymore. It's necessary to go over some of the extra stuff, and we start. We do go into it a little bit more at night than we used to, as my night schedule is loosening up a little bit and whatnot. But it's just we've gotten so good at this.
I think what we could do is we could probably there's a few ideas that I have that I'll share with you later. Of how we can use that time maybe a little bit better to go through what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish in these episodes. So
here's the tough question. Here's the big question. Okay. And this is unscripted. I didn't plan to ask this, but it occurs to me.
Of course
I should put this on the air.
It's almost all unscripted. Other than like that, up until when Jesse says, "Hey, Steve, how's it going?" Nothing is scripted. Like that, literally, that, folks. If you want to know, like that's the only thing that we write. That's it. That's like the word for word only thing we ever write is that initial intro, and that is it. That is it.
There were actually people in the beginning who thought that before I started changing it up every week, thought that I had just recorded the intro and dropped that into the track
it in each week?
because I had gotten so good at doing it exactly the same way every week
it is
from memory that
every week.
Yep. All right, so the big question. Last year, at the beginning of the year, for season 2, we went from audio only to video. That was a big jump.
That was a big
YouTube.
change.
And YouTube now we have 400 subscribers, and it's over on Tab Geeks, so it's the whole channel. But the main driver for a lot of that has been Workspace Recap, and so that was our big change for the year. What should we do next year?
What's the 2023 change? Ooh, that is a good question. Do you have some ideas? Do you have some stuff that you're like? Is that like a leading question where you're like, oh, here's my idea?
No, I'm not going to reveal anything here, but you can feel free. We can let ChatGTP write the intro for every episode. How about that?
I mean, if that could happen, it'd be great, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
No, I don't think so.
It's just not going to have up-to-date info. I don't think even Google's going to keep up with that in terms of what they're coming out with, which is some of the news topics that we are going to mention today, interestingly enough. And Google's response essentially to what ChatGPT is and what they've been developing. But for next year, I don't know. I mean, I think what I'd like to see personally, though, not that is a big change. I think what I'd like to see is we'd like to go back to a little bit more of what we were doing in season 1 with more interviews with Googlers. I think we this year definitely a lot less than there was in year 1. Year 1, I think we did pretty much one every month, 12, 13, 14 or so episodes. I think this year we did maybe just a handful, 3 or 4. So I'd like to see that. I'd like to just, see that increased. And of course, what goes along with that, of course, is that that's going to be also on video. So we didn't really have, many Googlers on video with us in the first year because we had none. Last year, very few. I think just Alex and maybe 1 or 2 others. So I think that will be an improvement to 2023. Is getting that up to at least once a month. I think that's a good consistency, good number there. And I think maybe trying to get different roles of people, maybe getting more audience members involved, more people from different organizations onto the podcast, maybe expanding the special guests kind of remit in terms of not just Googlers, but maybe other customers as well. So those kind of things are what I'm thinking of for 2023. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, if we're going to have a lot more guests on the show, you're going to have to learn to talk faster like me.
Oh my God. I mean, we could just have hour-long episodes all the time. We don't have to have 20, 30-minute episodes. We can just do an hour. An hour is a good time. We can do a lot of, can accomplish a lot.
We can do an hour without a guest, though.
We could. Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe that turns into, more episodes next year. Maybe that's what it could evolve to. It
Perhaps.
could be the updates. It could be the updates episodes plus the special guests, each week. So, or, each month, for example. So it could be
each week. I don't have that
60,
much editing time each week.
No, each week. Sorry. Yeah, right. But, 52 plus 12. So 54 episodes plus a few extras. I mean, we could be increasing it to like around 60 per year or something like that. So not too much more, a 10% increase. Could do something like that. Yeah.
I think that also this year I have steadily been in incrementally is the word I'm looking for, incrementally updating the style because I've been experimenting a lot with the videos and what we're able to offer on the video side of things. So on the podcasting side, we haven't paid a whole lot of attention to, but I've tried to keep all of the elements that I put in adaptable to audio so that anybody who is listening will still be able to follow the show and it's not a purely visual show, but then you get a lot of extra resources if you are watching it over on YouTube.
Sure. Yeah, and as you mentioned that, of course, then I start thinking the shorts on YouTube, of course, and
Yep.
how that can increase and continue as, we've kind of like been dabbling a bit in that with each week's episodes, or, each week's updates. That takes a lot of editing time, of course. So, that could be a thing that could be very beneficial moving forward, is getting into those
Shorts are
updates.
crazy.
Yeah, that could be. That's a lot of work. I think I'd have
There's
to
a lot of work. There's a lot of.
I'd have to start editing with you, really, to keep
You'd have
up
to
with
talk
that stuff.
faster, and because shorts, the attention span is like nothing, and you would have
right.
to
we might have to re-record
probably
those shorts.
You'd have to re-record the individual the short clips, because it's just you can't fit the information that we need to into.
What does
60
YouTube
seconds.
limit those times to? 60 seconds?
Yeah, so if it was TikTok, okay, fine.
Maybe
that's easy.
like
I just
5
slice each
minutes now.
update into
It's
a
up to
thing.
5
No,
minutes
so
on TikTok, right?
TikTok I think is 10 and possibly beyond.
At least 5. I watched a 5-minute one the other day. That's
right.
crazy.
What I was going to say is that YouTube, I've heard rumblings of them exploring possibly extending beyond 60 seconds. The original format on TikTok, I think, was 60 seconds or so. And that's what they were trying to capture. But Shorts is going to be a huge focus for them in the new year. I was listening to some of the interviews with the director of product over at YouTube that was at a conference, I think it was VidCon, where they were talking about the algorithm. And it was a session with Mr. Beast, Jimmy himself. So they were talking about essentially the way that Shorts right now are kind of like an add-on to YouTube, and it got so bad to the point in terms of how the algorithm was handling Shorts traffic was that the algorithm would think that the user was only interested in watching short videos because they watched a bunch of shorts in a row, and then it would stop recommending regular long-form videos to them entirely. And so they had to disconnect the algorithm from that until they could rebuild and reconnect so that it's like, all right, no, these were shorts. Recommend some more shorts to them, but also this content that they were watching in shorts, they're interested in probably in long form as well. And so that's all going to basically start coming together now in the next couple of months as we head into the new year. And obviously, also, I have to mention the monetization of Shorts, which is going to drive a lot of creators to be putting in a lot of activity over there. Us as well, not that we're eligible for the monetization program yet, but, just continue rolling one day at a time. We're continuing to grow towards that goal. That is basically my goal right now, is to get us to that point. And that'll pay for, us being able to do more stuff like this. So that's one of the things that I want to really accomplish in the new year, and continue to improve the engagement level through editing and better resources in each episode. It's kind of my thoughts. Sneak peek. So
yeah, pretty cool.
Long intro.
Yeah, decent intro there today. Sure.
Totally unscripted, except for the first bit.
Right. So, looking at the updates, if we dive into that, I get into that. So we have just a few updates this week, more news articles that we will talk about in this episode. So Jesse will do the majority of the talking here towards the end. But in terms of updates, we had 4 this week. And then in other news, we had about 6. I think we condensed that down. We took one off, added one or here or there.
Took 2 off. Yeah.
Took 2 off. Yeah. So 4 updates this week, plus the 6 news articles. Those 4 updates that we saw this week. First one being the updated experience of exporting your organization's data. I've been testing that and playing with that, so that is it's a nice little new update there. A little bit more granularity in terms of how you can update your org's data, not just everyone and everything, all or nothing. Next is that Google Voice standard customers can assign phone numbers in other voice countries in their region. So mostly, as I think you mentioned, Jesse, mostly applicable to those non-U.S. Customers, because the U.S. is pretty much one region, one country. And then there's some more filter effects available for Google Meet. And I know you mentioned this is, kind of like bringing Snapchat capabilities kind of into Meet. But, my first impression and thought was this was more of, they're bringing back the Hangout functionality that they had, back in 2013, whatever it was, 14, 15. And, I think it's a little bit of I've heard from other people also, and I also agree that there are perhaps more business focused updates that they could be focusing on other than this. But
also, these are so campy.
And there's that too. Yeah, there's that.
Why?
So I haven't even looked at the effects other than what's in the update, and I'm just
same.
Oh, really? I mean, I liked having all the effects of like the hats and the glasses, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And if they still have
but
that.
Do I want to be a strawberry?
No, I know, but do they still have? Can I do the funny glasses and the hats? Can I do that stuff still, or no?
I don't know. I haven't checked.
I don't know. I wish we could just do it now and we could test it out, but alas, we're not on Meet. And not out too. And then last update of the week is that you can quickly refine search results in Google Chat with some search chips. My contention, though, with search in chat on mobile as well as web is that, I'm still not getting the link to the exact, text of where the search result is relating to. If, for example, the chat's condensed, it's just showing me somehow the condensed conversation is putting me in the wrong location. I'm still having that challenge. So I don't know how to get that improved. I don't know who on the chat team is listening, but like search results, clicking through the links to where you're seeing the result, it doesn't show the result when you click through to it. Like you can see it in your search results, but once you click through to it, you're not being sent and you're not seeing that result in the click-through, which is, it's just, I don't understand why. I thought it was just a mobile thing. I thought it was just a web thing. No, it happens on both sides. So still an issue for me there with chat search. Even though it's improving, it's still not getting me to, see the search result when I click on it, which is frustrating. All right, getting into the headlines in the other news topics, a couple articles or a couple posts from the keyword end of year kind of topics. 22 of the most helpful tips for 2022 there, and then 5 Gmail tips to start your inbox fresh in 2023, and then heading over to a New York Times article, which it's going to be a little bit tricky to read if you're not a New York Times subscriber, but we will do our best to get you the context of it. It's talking about ChatGPT and other chatbots are creating this kind of internal code red here for Google search business, and what Google is doing to respond to that. Something else that we noticed, though, in one of the animated images from Workspace, one of the Workspace pages, is that there's this kind of new interesting Meet screen share experience. Not only that, though, but it's also a slightly new Meet video conferencing experience, actually, because it's showing that video conference happening within the Gmail chat interface, where it's not taking you to another window. And in addition to that, it shows you a different way to share your screen, where it's presenting some files and not just the normal screen share, share a window, share a tab. We'll talk a bit about that. See what that's all about. Next is that Google has everything it needs to counter ChatGPT, and here's what it's already shown off. And those are some things that Google has been discussing and showcasing in years past. And if they've been talking about that years ago, of course, where are they today? And what are they going to come out with once they make some sort of an announcement? Because as we've seen in some of their AI response solutions, and people talking to Google on the phone call, for example, and what they respond with, I think that's a great foundation for what we're seeing here with the chat open AI platform, what Google can potentially do with that, and hopefully make it a little bit more relevant and recent, rather than just taking some old data and working with that. And then finally, users are reporting some Google Calendar bugs, creating random fake events. And when I saw that, it also brought up a little comment that I saw with some people talking about responding to proposed new times in Google Calendar events and just not being able to decline those. You can, of course, get the email saying, hey, this person has proposed a new time. You can go into the calendar event, accept it, and of course change the event, send the update. But you can't really reject it and decline it other than responding to the email, which I think just is between you and the person that proposed it, and not actually everyone on the event, which we may have to double check that one, because I think that's what I saw. When I did the test, of course, I was the only attendee on the test, so I don't know if it goes to everyone. It probably doesn't, because the organizer should only be the one that gets that proposed new time. But again, that's another reason why it's a little bit unusual that not everyone will see that. All right. Let's get into the updates then. Anything you want to add to that, Jesse?
No, that's it. You got it all.
That's a long update, or a long summary there of the updates. All right. So first one of the week is that updated experience for exporting your organization's data. And if you have ever had to export all of your organization's data, so this is not takeout information, right? Although I was looking at the individual user takeout experience and how that works, and how an admin can customize what a user can take out, which is also a great update. This is more about the organization's data and how you can target specific data that is within the organization. So it has been an all or nothing thing before this. Now what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to target that organizational export based on the OU or by a user-generated group. So this will allow you to, of course, target subsets of your organization's data and not just take everything, which is what you've been able to do before. And this update is going to be limited, though, of course, to only certain organizations on Enterprise Plus, Education Standard, and Education Plus. For the rollout on this one is going to be rolling out starting had started on the 20th of December to both rapid release and scheduled release domains, up to 15 days for visibility there on a gradual rollout. And and as I said, only available to those specific Enterprise Plus, Education Standard, and Education Plus customers. Next, regarding Google Voice, is that those Google Voice Standard customers can start to assign phone numbers in other voice countries in their region. So this is going to mean that customers in Europe can start to assign phone numbers in supported European countries. Customers in Canada and the US can assign phone numbers in both countries, which to me, it's like, it's a +1. It's like US, Canada is kind of the same thing. Is that really, does anyone ever notice that? No. It's a small technicality, I guess, with the first 3 digits being, the area code's only available in Canada. You're not going to get a Canadian 3-digit area code up there as you will down here, but it's all +1, right? So what's the difference?
Yep.
I think it used to matter at one point, right? I think it matters to far fewer people these days, given that pretty much all mobile phones can call a US or Canada number at the same rate as they would their local, area code. But I remember back in the day, mobile phones just, I'm going to get the mobile phone plan for my Midwest region of numbers, right? Do you remember that? Like, I'm just getting the Midwest numbers, and like my East Coast and West Coast numbers are going to cost me more, all that stuff. It's all the same now. There's no difference.
There's not even nights and weekends anymore.
Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nights and weekends. Oh my God. Yeah.
Remember those?
Of course. Yeah. I got to call you after 7. I'm going to call you for like 2 hours after 7 o'clock because I don't want to call you in the day. Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's right.
Throwback.
Holy cow. Wow. Nights and weekends. Rollout for that one is going to be available to all of those standard Google Voice standard customers on both the wrap release and scheduled release domains. And of course, just available to those standard customers. Next, we have those additional filter effects available for Google Meet. And, this is kind of something that Jesse and I were, I guess kind of talking about how, some of these emojis are looking like, a little bit more kitschy kind of things or kind of like weird. And, but I was just thinking of all of the classic Hangouts, functionality that we had with the different glasses and the different little hats we could wear. And, I haven't dived into all the different options, but, I wish the classic Hangouts functionality would come back with those different funny hats and glasses, because that was kind of funny to add to a meeting here and there. I have it happen in some of my meetings on, with the Zoom effects and people doing funny things there. So, it adds a little bit of interesting dynamic to a business meeting, but, honestly, could there be a lot of better updates that Google has to Meet that are more business focused? Yes, I think so. There's, how necessary is this really from a business perspective? And I think, I think Google could do a better job at focusing on those more business focused updates and maybe allowing those, more full featured applications that are just dedicated to one purpose, adding in those kind of, esoteric, weird updates. But I don't know. That's just me.
So two things that I think are happening here. Two things that I think are happening here. One is that as they combine Duo and Meet, they have to have some consumer features coming in here to make people interested in actually using it. And so you're going to get some kitschy cute things like this.
Yeah,
but again, these are so freaking campy. Like, compare it to some of the other apps that are out there and what awesome, amazing things you can do with it. And why is Google letting us, be I don't know, a rabbit, a nasty, I can't even really describe this. What is this? Evil rabbit, I think, and, a strawberry with a face. Like, these are weird. There are much better options and things that you could do out there with AR, and they do actually, the screenshots here are titled AR1, AR2, and AR3 on the GIFs. And so they're obviously looking at this from an AR lens, no pun intended, but they kind of, just ship the basics and let it go. The other thing that I think would really be better here for what you were saying in terms of a business context is if you were able to do things that were fun in a business sense, but still acceptable to have in a business meeting, such as an AR bow tie, an AR mustache, AR glasses, hats and funny things. For example, a birthday hat. A cake floating in front of you or something along those lines for someone whose birthday it was, or a promotion, congratulatory things, or, things that remote teams are getting together and celebrating or commiserating over, and being able to add to that with AR. So, for example, with my team, we all throughout the pandemic would celebrate different events in different people's lives, and all the time, for example, for someone's birthday, we would all put up a virtual background of an image that we found, and then eventually it was able to do videos as well. So we, some of us found videos, or the more advanced of us would use our NVIDIA graphics cards to replace the virtual background in our video feed to make it even more immersive and better. And it would be a happy birthday background. And so that would, convey more of the we're all in this together and camaraderie and festivities to the meeting there. And I think that they have an opportunity here to do that, and they're just like, you can be a strawberry.
Right. Yeah, I think there's definitely some very some more business focused functionality there that they could add with this, in the context of this actual update. exactly. Like you said, that could be good.
Right. And I had also seen, or not I had seen, but to your point of other business features, I believe the last couple of times those have come up in our conversations with other people, they are meaning not just even AR, that there are other business features that are required in order to catch up to some of the competitors out there and surpass some of the competitors out there. And why are they wasting time on AR? And I think that the problem there is that Google, once again, in their strategy, is that they have combined, business and consumer apps, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But again, you got to be careful how you do that. And the fact is that, Zoom took off as the pandemic leader for video chat because A, it was free, B, it was relatively simple to use, not as simple as Google Meet, but
I mean, Meet was free too, but it just wasn't publicized.
they give more free options for much longer than Google did, and that really helped to spread the growth. But there are plugins that work really well with Zoom that allow you to be goofy or have games or have polls or all the things that Meet didn't have at the beginning of the pandemic. And sure, add all of those in and do that work, but you got to find a way to do it where it's not, I guess, childish is the word I'm looking for here. I don't want to offend anybody, and I don't think that this is entirely childish. The face tracking tech running this is really great, but I think it could be applied much better, and I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, definitely agree. So, well, for those of you that are, excited to see this or interested to see this, then rollout for this one started the 21st of December on an extended rollout, potentially longer than 15 days for rapid release and scheduled release domains. And it's available to all users across all platforms. Of course, the personal Google accounts, which to your comment earlier around the Duo and Meet integration and kind of that coming together makes a lot of sense then, of course, in terms of why this kind of update has come out, because it is a little bit more consumer focused, as you mentioned. So that's the details on that one. And then finally, in terms of updates that we have for the week, is that you can now quickly refine search results in Google Chat with some additional search chips. So this is an extension upon existing mobile features. So we're expanding the existing mobile features to the web that will help you find exactly what you're looking for a little bit faster using these search chips. And the filters that are going to be available to you to find those messages is that you'll have the from dropdown, you'll have the set in dropdown, the date, has file, has link, and mentions me. So quite a lot of good functionality here in terms of being able to narrow down a specific message that you may be looking for. And to my comment earlier about the search results and search functionality within chat in general, is that yes, I mean the results that you see will get you what you're looking for, but a lot of times you're actually looking for the context around that. So you're not just looking for what was said specifically to what your search is, because that will show up in the search results. But what you're looking for is the context around that, because maybe you remember that the specific thing that was said, but you don't remember but you're looking for something that was said around that, right? So you're looking for what the comment was before or after it. And when you click that result, either on mobile or web, and you get over there to the results, you're actually not shown that result. You're not presented with that specific section of the chat space or this chat itself, because of the way, I don't know, the way the condensing works, or whatever reason that it is taking you to that specific point in time and in your history of chat. It just doesn't always show that, and that's been a frustrating thing for me, because for me it's happening. It happens quite a lot. Like I'm looking for these types of things frequently, like multiple times a week, and it on mobile it's very hard. It's harder on mobile because I don't have any other way to very reliably easily search and scroll and expand upon that chat space context. I usually always have to go to the web, go to my browser, do the same search, do the same query, click into it. I'll get the same kind of weird, link to the same spot, but then I'll be able to expand that entire chat history and then do a normal like Command F, Control F on the page to then find it. I'm like, oh, well, there it is. Okay, well, now I found it. So that's really frustrating. So I think that's a major thing for me in terms of, search and functionality and, finding that result as you click into it. So I don't know if you've seen that the same level of, if you've experienced that, Jesse, or, have that same level of frustration. But for me, it's like a constant battle with chat search. I don't know.
Yeah, I have definitely found that frustrating. And one of the other things to add to that is that I found it frustrating going into Gmail and trying to search there and certain things not being as available over there, whereas it's easier to search inside of chat, for example, or it's faster to search inside of chat. And it's like, well, why can't you just bring it all together?
Right.
Or,
Right.
Or having to know to jump back and forth, only search in chats or only search, even in the Gmail interface, only search in chats or only search in mail. Like, come on.
Right. So, well,
give
this,
me my view.
This
Give me the ability to do it. So this is
one here.
Helpful.
Yeah, right. So this is bringing some, I guess, what some of the functionality we saw on the web, or on the mobile only, into the web. Right. So this is kind of to that point exactly. So, kudos to the updates here in terms of that, is bringing that consistency between both mobile and web.
Yeah, and it's interesting looking at the screenshot here. I'm kind of wondering what they're covering up, because if you look at under the spaces area, they have Project Clover is bolded, and then Team Leads is not, and Marketing Updates is bolded again, but you can clearly see that Team Leads looks like it was just photoshopped over. Looks like something else is peeking out behind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looks like they just covered over something else that was supposed to be there. Either that, or it's a weird artifact that made it into the GIF. I don't know, but it looks like it's in front of there's a rectangle that doesn't quite cover the text of whatever's behind it. So, not enough showing there for me to ascertain what the heck it's saying. But we are your Google Workspace sleuths, detectives.
Yep.
So,
that's
I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing that now. Yeah, there's a little bit of text right between the Project Clover and the Team Leads, in between those two, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yep. I wonder if they were just spaces that had reference to actual, actual conversations that shouldn't be shown, that weren't for demonstration purposes.
Right. And that's what I was always curious about on these.
It's interesting that it shows it shows lots of Googler's emails in this.
Google email, exactly. Are those actual usable, or are those just their tester? So Raymond Santos at Google.com.
Oh, no.
I happen to know a lot of these people are first name dot last initial or whatever it is. No, it's a lot of them are full names as well, and it's
I mean, you can just go and figure it out, because you can type that email address into chat and you'll see the image pop up.
Well, here's the thing. It could be a test account, and that is what I'm curious, is if it's a test account that they're using for, this type of thing.
Go to LinkedIn. Now you got to do that in LinkedIn, right?
Sure. Sure. We could definitely do some social engineering on Google employees here.
You know what? I did this recently. Well, not recently, but over the years, I have a bunch of very interesting Googler emails, in terms of what they are, in terms of what the email is, right? And the number of Googlers with single letter email addresses is actually, it's not 26. There's not 26 employees with just no. But there's about half. There's about half of them have one letter emails, which is kind of cool. So it's just a@google.com or, b@google.com, which is, you've been there for a while if you've got one of those emails, I gotta say. Yeah.
Or just first name at. You can always tell who's been there a while. So if it's Keith@google.com, they've been around for 10 years, probably more, depending on the type of name that they have, or, how what do you call it, popular a name it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one I've always just thought of this. I'm there's no Steve at, so it's kind of interesting that I've not found a Steve at. So, hopefully, if ever one day I join Google, I'll be able to get Steve at.
Yep. Well, it's like nice. We're talking with Alex. His email is Chrome Guy.
Yep.
So. Yeah. All right. Were you finished with the bit there?
I was gonna do something, but then I forgot what it was. I was just talking about some of the interesting like Googler names other than the single letter emails. There's like Batman, so there's like, there's that. Trying to think of what else there was that was interesting. Just like some like three, I guess, not really that they probably chose it, but there was some three-letter initials of probably first, middle, last name that are relates to some sort of, characters in movies, things like that, which is kind of interesting.
Nice.
But yeah,
Gotta love it.
I'll leave it to that.
Got to remember, at the end of the day, that the whole company is basically just a bunch of geeks and super nerds, and they're gonna choose references to things and fun things that make them happy, and more power to them. So, alrighty, shall we get into the news?
Yeah, it's all yours.
Awesome. Interestingly enough, that first link is not loading for me at the moment, which is a Google blog post. So not really sure what that's about, but let me see one more time if I just load the direct page, if it loads up. Nope. All right. Either my DNS is failing, which would be weird because Steve and I are on an active call here, or something funky is going on with blog.google. All right, moving on. That article was going to be 22 of our most helpful tips from 2022. It loaded. There we go. These are, shall we say, generic or more end user-ish. They're not for admins per se. I mean, you may find them valuable, which is why we threw it in here. But it includes things such as utilizing Google Flights to find cheaper airline tickets, or Street View, or screenshots of your boarding pass on your Pixel device to add it to your Google Wallet, things like that. So if you live in the Google universe and you're interested in some of the extra tips and tricks that they have here, there are 22 of them. And some of them are really, really good reminders for people, such as Chrome users can hit Control or Command, depending on which platform you're on, plus Shift and T to restore a recently closed browser window, and all of the tabs with it. And I'll tell you, that's one that I use on the regular, because that happens when I tell Mac to automatically keep itself up to date and it doesn't reload everything properly. So some good ones in there, some creative ones in there, some interesting Google Photos ones in there as well. So definitely not going to spend too much time on that, but figured we'd throw it in there anyway for you in case you are curious and wanted to take a look. And then another similar, but from the keyword over here, is 5 Gmail tips to start your inbox fresh in 2023. And not only could I have written this article, I probably should write my own version of it over on the Tab Geeks blog, because I agree with some of these and I have a whole bunch more to add to it. They are steer clear of spam is number one, which is some tips on how to do that, mainly making sure to click the report spam icon. And I will add to this that more than that, you need to stay on top of it, and you need to continue doing it, and don't ever stop doing it, because spam never stops and people are constantly selling our email addresses. And if you don't, a bonus one here, unsubscribe for every single mailing list that you get sent stuff from, you're just going to continue getting sent various different things from them for different, promotions or sales or what have you, and then they'll go and sell it, and then it'll start all over again. So not only mark as spam, but mark as spam and make sure that you're unsubscribing to things as well. The next one here is archive emails in bulk. Sometimes you just got to burn it down and start over, especially maybe after the holidays. So try not to after the holidays, so that you do actually manage to get to some of the things that have been sent to you over that time. But you can select a whole mess load of emails and archive them all so that you still have them in your inbox, but you can view them later on. So another good one there. Steve really liked this one here, is mute email threads that get out of hand. If you're on a back and forth email chain and they're just schmoozing and talking about things that are not so relevant to you, and you don't want to see any of the updates, hit the mute button on there, and it won't show up in your inbox anymore, but you'll still get them received into your account. So
I know the number of times that I've seen, like, I don't know,
remove me from this thread.
Yeah, remove me from this CC. Like, take me off the CC. I'm like, okay, just hit M. Just hit the M key, and you're muted, and you never see it again. Like, it'll never show up in your inbox. Just like, here's this great feature. Here's how to mute emails. That's what I respond with. I just respond to everyone. And I'm like, here's how to mute this email thread with
Always
a link to the the article.
Well done.
And I never hear from people again. So
they're like, who's this asshole? Get him off of here.
Yeah. Right. I know.
Whatever, man. I need this feature, honestly, on Twitter and on text messaging because I get added to garbage threads all the time, and it's just like,
I mean, the text message thing is a
I
hard
report
thing,
and
though,
block,
because
but text messaging is tough because
you've got
I don't want to block them.
multi-platform things on text. It just doesn't work. But
yeah,
you can really only mute certain groups. You can probably mute certain individuals, but not specific messages it wouldn't quite work in SMS, I guess.
Yeah. All right, the next one here is an old one, but a good one. An oldie but a goodie. Separate
There we go.
incoming emails by creating multiple email addresses with a plus sign. So those of us who've been there back in the old early days of Gmail and, well, emails in general, you are able to take your email and add a plus in there to say, Jesse at Tab Geeks, for example, is Jesse dot, or rather in this case, plus, I don't know, cars for when I was car shopping. And then I just filter and dump all that stuff into a folder that I never look at, especially after I actually purchase my car. And that is how, one of the great ways that I keep my inbox staying all nice and squeaky clean and free of lots of extra garbage that comes into it. I have also used in the past the period technique. So anybody from the olden days will remember that one as well. But essentially they're saying that if you sign up for a gym membership with your email address plus gym@gmail.com, GYM, not the name, you can set up a filter to designated emails coming from your gym. You can do it with online shopping or social media sites. And I have actually used it with a couple of companies that I was signing up to get a newsletter from them. Not the newsletter, but I was signing up to get a white paper or something downloaded from them. And I didn't actually want to hear from them ever again. I just wanted that one piece of content. And I would use that to sign up because you always have to put in your email. That's the cost of getting in. I would use that and then automatically mark as trash anything else that came through after that fact. So sorry, marketers, but you're not getting through this time. That's one of my favorite ones to use. And then the last one here is keep your messages safe, which is talking about their security checkup and privacy checkup that you can do to make sure that you're choosing a good password and enabling two-factor and things like that. And side note, didn't include it in the notes here, but if you're on LastPass, my sympathies. I am on LastPass for one of my accounts, and thankfully I liked LastPass, and I know that they have a history, and the last time that this happened, they seemed to really take all the right steps, and apparently they did not take all the right steps or change the culture into one that really is able to prevent things like this from happening. And it turns out that the password vaults were actually taken and have left the building. And the only thing preventing hackers or whoever got these from getting your passwords is your master password. So I really hope that you had a really good one like I do.
I feel like I had a good one. So, yeah.
Mine's like 35 characters, so I'm pretty sure it's a good one.
Yeah, mine's a random string of weird words and characters and multiple passwords stringed together and 30 plus something or other. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll take 1 billion years for the best computer to crack it, except that in those billion years, they'll have figured out how to crack passwords like that in seconds.
Did they talk about the number of vaults that were obtained?
I haven't seen that yet.
I didn't see that either. It just said that some were obtained, but it doesn't say how many or because that's if I don't know, 5% to 10% were obtained, like that's a small number. If 90% were obtained, that's a huge compromise. Then
not sure.
I think that's something that wasn't clearly identified in that article.
I think that was on purpose.
Probably.
So, yeah. Maybe start looking at Keeper or 1Password or Bitwarden or whatnot.
But that's just crazy, though. I mean, I have 1,000 passwords in there with details like you wouldn't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to recreate that or to change all that information is just unfathomable.
Yeah, changing it all is ridiculous. Crazy. And there are tools that will change it for you, but then it's like, okay, well, I don't want to give a tool that much power. It's a functionality.
Yeah, the LastPass.
I never gave LastPass the ability to do that. I never allowed that because but maybe I should have because it doesn't matter. Who the hell cares? But yeah, not very happy with them right now. So you've been warned. Alrighty.
I don't know.
Next up, Red Alert, Code Red. ChatGTP and other chatbots are apparently a quote-unquote code red for Google search business. Now, this is the New York Times article that we were talking about before that is going to be difficult to read because it is behind a paywall. So if you don't have a Times subscription, then the hack that I used to read it actually was to open it on Twitter and to activate reader mode, and I was able to get to the whole thing. So hopefully nobody from the Times is listening, because I would like to be able to continue using this hack without paying for the New York Times. But if anybody is able to gift us a link, I'll be happy to append it to the notes, or add it to the notes, and include it in here. But essentially, what we were saying in the last couple of weeks about Google having something ready to go is still true. And maybe it's not ready to leave the door, and certainly they are very hesitant about allowing it to. And this article goes into some of the reasons behind why. One of them, as I had mentioned, is that Microsoft had come out with a chatbot years ago, which I had forgotten the name, but they reminded me of it here, called Tay, probably a nod to Taylor Swift, if I had to guess. And that was a colossal disaster. And Facebook had their own chatbot, which was really not great. If you remember, Tay back in the day, that rhymed, spewed racist, xenophobic, and otherwise filthy language, and they were forced to immediately remove it from the internet, never to return. But essentially, what has apparently happened inside of Google is that Google's management have declared a quote-unquote code red. And this is, as the article says, akin to pulling the fire alarm. Some fear the company may be approaching a moment that the biggest Silicon Valley outfits dread, the arrival of an enormous technological change that could upend the business. And everybody knows Google's biggest business here is not workspace. It is not chat. It is search and search ads. And there are a lot of people saying that ChatGTP is that massive shift that is occurring. And there are a lot of people who say, it's not that big a deal. Yes, it is amazing, and it's a technological breakthrough, but it's, a year and a half old in terms of its knowledge, and isn't necessarily going to take everything away from Google. In fact, there still is Wolfram Alpha, which is a very knowledgeable search engine for math and science. And at the time that came out, a lot of people were then saying as well, it's going to take a lot of search away from Google. Didn't really make that much of a dent, even though it is incredibly useful, especially for those who are in school. That being said, a couple of things that I found interesting that I thought I had remembered, but I wasn't sure. So thank you to the Times for confirming this. A lot of the infrastructure and the technology behind ChatGTP itself at OpenAI was actually developed by researchers at Google. And Google has what they call, I believe it's pronounced Lambda, but the language model for dialogue applications is something that we've heard about before.
I mean, AWS has this.
AWS has this as well.
They have a service called Lambda, but not like like LAMDA, which is when I read this, it was
capital
weird.
L, capital
lowercase
a, capital M, capital D.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it's not just Lambda,
anyways.
like AWS. Anyway, but this may ring a bell to many people because back in the summer, Google engineer Blake Lemoine, I don't know how that's pronounced, claimed it was sentient. For anybody who will remember the news back then, not true, but essentially we've gotten so good at chatbot technology that it's possible to really have a conversation. And that's where Google's advances start to actually shine here, is its abilities that we've seen in other products, which leads me into the other article that I have here, that Google has everything it needs to counter ChatGTP. Here's what it's already shown off. Have you ever had a conversation with your Google Assistant where you ask it a question and it replies and you ask follow-up questions? In fact, go ahead, Steve.
Not often. Was that a question for me? I thought you were asking me. I'm like,
the audience.
Not really? I mean, not very often, sometimes, but it's not very frequent. So
that's one of the things that really makes, virtual assistants amazing. And one of the things that really will help push that forward is their ability to do so. And MKBHD actually just released a video on YouTube testing all of the intelligence level of the virtual assistants that are out there. And one of the things he tested was how good is their ability to continue a conversation with follow-up questions. And Siri is useless at that. And I think Alexa also didn't score very well, but Google did fantastic because you can say, who was the which one was it? What number was he? 44th president of the United States was Obama, right? And so you can ask that, and then you can say, how tall was he? Where does he live? And it follow up questions, and it is able to take that context. And as they get more context, they will get more powerful. And that's where, search really is starting to go, where you're saying, okay, I'm trying to figure this information out, and it helps you get there. It's not necessarily just a chat bot. It's how that ability to translate and understand and conversate, with the knowledge that it's trying to give over, is really going to shine through. The problem being, and this is why Google has been so reluctant to put it out there, is the fact that, well, it's great, but it's not that accurate 100% of the time. And when it doesn't know, it just guesses. And that's a problem when you are trying to be a very, very accurate search engine and say that you've got all the answers. And Google has spent a lot of time and a significant amount of money trying to perfect that and get it so that they are really accurate and near instant in getting that information. And so they've not necessarily perfected search, but they're close. And so in order to get chatbots to the point where it would be overhauling Google search, it's going to be a little while. That being said, with this Code Red, Sundar Pichai is basically declared all hands on deck for this, and I quote here, has upended the work of numerous groups inside the company to respond to the threat that ChatGPT poses. And this is according to a memo and an audio recording. I imagine it's a Google Meet recording that they have obtained from Google, saying that employees have also been tasked with building AI products that can create artwork from other images, sound familiar, like DALL-E, and other projects that they expect to be announced at Google's conference coming in May. So the next I/O should be a lot of fun with a whole bunch of projects that they're going to announce and probably not actually release for another year and a half, because that's what happens when you rush these things out the door. And the last point that I will add to this, because I've already said quite a bit about this whole topic in the last couple of weeks and here, is the fact that I am now a little bit concerned, because in the past, historically, every time Google declares a code red over something, not necessarily with the words code red, but moves all hands on deck to change focus and move in a different direction really quickly, Google Workspace seems to suffer. Anybody remember a little thing called Google Plus? You know who built that? Google Voice engineers. And you know what product was delayed for years because they were too busy building something else? Google Voice. And so I'm really hoping that Workspace has grown to the point here where it is a big enough business item for Google, and they take it seriously enough that they will not be ripping out some of the best minds in the Workspace side of things and dedicating them over to the AI projects, but instead dipping into the massive pool of talent that they have from all of the projects that they shut down, whether it was from the Area 120 or other moonshot projects, and reassigning those people into working on this Code Red initiative, other than, because they did say that they would be reorganizing most of them into the company. I'd rather that they are able to bring people from those projects than to put another dent in Google Workspace, especially because we've got such wonderful momentum going this year. So hopefully we'll continue that momentum into the new year and have both consumer fun features rolling out, as well as the more, I won't say necessarily more important, but more interesting to a lot of the admins listening here, the business and enterprise focused features. So that's that. The next one that I will have over here is something that I noticed over on, Google Workspace's homepage, workspace.google.com, is a video showing off the unified interface in Gmail. And something that I noticed out of here was that when they go to share a screen in Meet, they hover over the share screen button, and it gives them two file options to share, location brainstorm or a quarterly report, and looks like the option to post a link. And that is something we've never seen before. And I was curious if that's a new direction that they're going in terms of being able to, what can you share, make sharing easier, because I personally have had this issue many times where I have had to walk people through, people who are not as familiar with Google Meet, sharing their screen. Yeah, you have to click this button down there. Okay, fine. Every platform has that. Okay, now there's a window that's going to pop up and you have to choose which window you're on. Okay, every platform has that. Then they click on it and it still doesn't share that window. Oh, right. You have to also click on the blue share button. And people that are, trying to share a screen in a meeting. They're a little bit flustered because it's new tech. They don't really know how to do it. In a world where Google is amazing at design and making it simple for people, why is it so many frickin' steps to share your screen? And that's what I thought that they were sharing here in this video, was the ability to hover over the share your screen button, excuse me, have it pop up your screen options right there, move your mouse over and click on the one you want to share, and voila, it's sharing your screen. Steve pointed out that it's within the interface, in the unified interface, so it's not necessarily in Meet itself. Go ahead, Steve.
That's what it looks like, right, from the animation. That's what it looks like.
Yep.
It doesn't look like it's popping you out to another window, but I mean, it could be, I guess, but it doesn't
could
look
also
like
be in
it.
that other window, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really look like it.
But also there's some other things that he had noticed in here as well that was showing up in terms of the chat side of things, in terms of which more icons are there. The calendar icon to create a new event is still there, and yet that we know has already moved into the more options menu. So we would really like to know what's going on here, Google. Is something unreleased here? Something went in a different direction here, even though your promo video clearly shows that this is capable of doing this? I'd love to see it. So certainly some interesting directions they can go in here, and as they continue to upgrade and update and overhaul interfaces, this could be a direction that we're going to see them going in. So stay tuned for that. All right. I think I killed ChatGTP I don't have to really talk about this other article. Just know that Google has lots of other products, all of which you are aware of, that it is basically has the tools to counter it. And even though it's a code red, I think they're going to have plenty of, what's the term I'm looking for? It's a baseball term when you've got, somebody on the bench. Whatever. Plenty of things to pull from, where they have tools that they can utilize in order to, so to speak, fight back. And then the last one that I had here was the fact that users were reporting, and I didn't have this personally, but I saw this reported in a bunch of different places, a weird Google Calendar bug that was creating random fake events. Some of them were based on emails that you had gotten. So the screenshot they have here is UPS, get ready for your package, or your Epic Games receipt 5 times, or your UPS package was delivered. It seems like this has stopped. I haven't seen it really reported anywhere else. So if that was happening to you, that's what was happening. One way that you can make it stop if that is still happening to you is, well, first of all, I would reload everything, because I haven't heard people talking about it, which means that the cause has probably been eliminated. But another thing you can do is to, in your calendar, to go to your settings and turn off show events from Gmail, and that will take care of probably most of these random fake events that are coming in here. And then, Steve, you had added the one of the ability to reject proposed new times for events.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's just a little comment about, just not having the functionality to reject that proposed new time, and sending that back to the requester, other than through an email response from the email that you would get from that proposed new time. So you can either accept it and then send the update, or I guess ignore it and not do anything, but you can't just explicitly reject it and say, hit reject like you can yes or no or maybe on a calendar response. So,
right. All right. Well, that's all for episode 52. Let us know, please, what changes you would like to see in the new year. Yes, Steve.
Yeah, last one of the year, right? So
that's it.
That's going to mean next
Happy New Year,
episode, everyone. Either next one or the one after. Depending on how quickly we can get kind of an episode together, will be our recap post. Our end of year recap post, the workspace recap
and predictions
2022. Yes,
looking back and forward.
Exactly. Yep. So we will we'll have that for you coming up very soon. It'll be interesting to see what that episode will entail. Got a lot of updates to kind of thumb through from the year, pick out our best, and talk about, you and I, which ones we saw throughout the year, which we found the most impactful or interesting. So looking forward to that episode. It's always a good one. Yeah, and we've got the bonus episode of Google Chrome Recap, which I'm still going to be releasing. So this isn't the last you've heard from us yet. Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, Drop in the comments or shoot us an email or hit us up on Twitter with what changes you'd like to see us make in the new year, and we will definitely try to do our best to accommodate all of them. This has been going strong for a long time, and as we mentioned, that our 100th episode, that was 100 episodes consecutive. We're now over that number because we still haven't missed, and I'm starting to think that Steve and I just shouldn't ever actually meet in person so that we can say this whole show is produced without ever meeting in person. But inevitably, it's going to happen at some point as we both start traveling again. And
I can't believe though, like 2 years of doing this, we've actually never met.
Met in person. It's pretty great. I mean, other than being in the same room in 2016, I'm going to find a photo from there that has both of us in it eventually. Somebody send us your photos of that event, please, so that we can search through them for our faces.
I wonder if Miles has got some from like the stand from when he was presenting.
It's possible.
That's who I would reach out to.
Yeah.
I was on stage right, so the left side for the audience looking at the stage.
Jeez.
I was on the. I remember. I distinctly remember that presentation.
Yeah.
I was on my computer working, and also it was also the same time as I think when what was her name doing the Teams update, Diana. Mm-hmm. I think that was her name. But anyways, I was on the left hand side of the audience, and for both of those presentations, I think Miles, I was on the very far left of this presentation, and for Diana, I was on the center left.
I don't remember. Those were the days when I didn't used to be as outgoing,
it's weird.
And so therefore probably
specifically those two presentations.
I probably sat in the back of the room and kind of like back center or back edge because I was far more introverted. Now I'm like front row center or second row center, and I'm like the guy with the hand up and asking questions. And
it's weird how much I remember those two presentations because.
Well, first of all, Miles is the single greatest presenter on the planet. Like, I've never seen anyone present like him.
Yeah. But I came into that presentation from another event. So I came in on the right hand to the left hand side of the tent.
The stage. Yeah.
Right.
The tent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the right hand side of the stage, left hand side of the tent. Exactly. And I remember distinctly sitting on that, or even standing on that side and listening to him and talking with the customer at the time, which I forget who it was. It was a big customer at the time talking about migrating their data, I think, over
Colgate or something.
Yeah, it was them or Twitter. It might have been Twitter or something like that.
Right. Twitter, who needs to finish that migration already.
And then the other one with Team Drives is I remember, sitting there on my laptop and following along with the presentation. And then Diana was talking about, go to drive.google.com/scary.
Yep. Scary.
And that was how she was presenting some special functionality to get to Team Drives. And I went to that URL on the Wi-Fi from the event, and I got access to all the internal Google tools, which was just crazy. They forgot to put the Wi-Fi on a guest network. They didn't segment it off.
Unbelievable.
And I got access to all these developer tools, and I got a list of all the PMs that were doing updates. It was just crazy.
You hacked Google.
Was that?
You hacked Google from within Google.
I mean, I didn't no, it was just like you followed along with the presenter. You didn't hack me. You just followed along with the presenter. Like, hey, here's where I'm going. Oh, okay.
Some hacks, that's all they are, by the way. It's just,
Right. And this was also the time they were changing the login screens. So they were changing the way that the logins happened in terms of like the double the change from username and password on the same screen to username first and then password.
And password. Yeah.
So I got the screenshots of that too because I was getting the internal Google prompts. So it was just a really cool experience that event.
If only we had the show back then, we could have been breaking news.
Well, right, yes. Did I ever show you the screenshots of that? That's interesting. Yeah. I still have them.
I've seen those.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
So if anybody has pictures from that event, please send them over to us.
That URL still works. Because I talked to Googlers today. Like, go to drive.google.com/scary, and they're like, oh yeah, I got all these special new tools in my settings menu. So amazing. Talk to the PMs of the Drive team now. It's kind of cool.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right. Should we wrap this up?
We were almost there. We're almost
there. The third time. Yes. All right. Last episode of the year. Peace, everybody. Thanks for listening to us. We love you all. We appreciate you all. Thanks for staying with us. And tell all your friends about us so that they can learn from us as well. And stay tuned into the new year. I got some things up my sleeve here. Short sleeves, but some things coming. And
but whatever.
There you go. My brother-in-law is a magician, as I mentioned the other week, so he's got the whole up his sleeve thing going on there. Does it well. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit us up on YouTube. Share us with your friends, and let us know what you want to hear. We want to hear from you. We're doing this for all of you. Originally, I was doing it for myself because I couldn't keep up with all the updates, but now we do it for all of you, and we want to do whatever is going to be the best for everyone to be able to keep up with what's going on and enjoy the show. So Happy New Year's. Have a great year. Hope you had a great year. It's been a rough couple of years. Let's move positively into the future, and we will see you next year on Workspace Recap.